Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I wanted to do, I wanted to take a look at three very popular brands in what I'll call the luxury market. I'm not going to talk about the horology as High Horology or Strong Horology, any of the tiers we've talked about before. Usually these three brands that we're going to talk about, Glashütte Original, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and Grand Seiko, are considered high horology of some sort, or sort of floating between borders, if you will. So I thought, well, I'll come up with a name. I'll call them the Luxury Trident, and then we won't have to worry about any kind of possible heavenly terms for them. We'll put it that way. Okay, so let's take a look at these, and we got quite a few to go through, so I'm going to move right along pretty quickly here. First of all, with Glashütte Original, you have the Senator. This is one of the more affordable ones, and at $6,400, that's right around where we're going to see is the base of all of these. They go a lot higher. The other thing is the caliber. I have here caliber 39 dash. Now they have a lot of this particular caliber with certain variations, dash 1, 2, 3, or whatever they have for it. And this is one of their main calibers that they use for this. The others ones they have, here's another one. It's the Pano, the Glashütte Original. They have here's a Pano inverse. Now this uses a caliber 90-0, and it's quite a bit more expensive. It's almost $10,000 at 9746. Now here what you'll see is that your Pano inverse is different from your other ones in a number of ways. First of all, it's inverse, so you can see the balance wheel there from the dial, and so having a special movement for that, I think, is very important, rather than trying to jury rig something that's not quite right but somehow works. There's two more models they have. These are sort of class of models. One's called the Specialist and the other is Vintage. This one is, I tried to also pick the newest ones I could find in addition to reasonably priced ones. One of the new ones, I don't know why I like the looks of it so much. It just has a sporty look. It's called the CQ 1969. It's $8,700. It's pretty steep, but this is typical for this level of luxury watches. Another one they have from the vintage, this is from the vintage collection, it's called the 60s Panorama Date. It's an annual edition. They come up, I guess, with a new one every year with something different in the middle. This one is an orange thing. I forgot the name. They have a special name for that kind of, not the guilloche, but it's something like that. It's a French term. I love French terms, even though I'm so bad at them. Okay, now they also have a ladies category, and it is sort of interesting. Some of the other ones do, some don't. They simply have them all together, but these have them separately. This one, the Panamatic Luna, there's sort of like the men's version, but it's this particular one it has a diamonds in it, the date, and so on and so forth. Now here, the caliber uses, notice that it's not the same caliber as some of the other ones, and I think this is important. This is 9112. Yes, it may be a version of the 90 versions of it, but it is different, and so that's important, I think. And this is a little smaller than the men's version, so you want to have a smaller movement if possible. Now, on the other hand, the Serenade, one of the ladies' models, has got a caliber 39 something in it, which is very similar to the ones that the men's have. The Grand Seiko is a little more interesting, a little more problematic too. First of all, one of the things, if you're looking to get a Grand Seiko. They have a number of different categories. I think there are three main ones: the elegance, the something. We'll take a look at them in a second. But the main thing I was looking at was that you have these three different kinds of movements. You have if something that has 9S, it's mechanical, either automatic or hand wind. If it has a 9F, it's quartz, and it has a 9R, it's a spring drive. Now, here are two here, and also too, they use these instead of coming up with names that you can say easily. It's like SBGK005. There's one I happen to like. It's part of the elegance group, and it's got a hand wound caliber 9S63. And it's $7,400. It's a nice looking watch and well done and finished. Now another one, this is brand new. It's called the SBGA 407, $5,800. I like the looks of it. It's got a spring drive in it. Now a spring drive is something like a quartz, but instead of having a battery, you wind it up, and the spring drive provides the enough electricity for the quartz to give it the kind of vibrations they need for the near perfect timing you get from quartz. So they do have a different designation for them. This next group is the heritage group, and here you've got on the left there, you have, it's a new one, SBGA 401. That's $4,900, which is relatively low, on the low side for this, what I call the Luxury Trident. And it's got a spring drive in it. One of its R60, 9R65. Now, on the other hand, again, another heritage one, it's got a caliber 9S65, which is an automatic 3-day. As we're going to see, there's three kinds of mechanicals. One is the first one we saw, which is the hand wound. Then there's this one, the automatic, and then there's another one that's a high beat. I'll talk about that in a second. Now this one comes in at $3,800, which is really getting down there for a luxury watch. All right. Now this is their sports version, which is sort of the funny thing. The irony here is usually their sports seem to be lower, but not these guys. They're both pretty high. Now the one on the left is another spring drive. It's called a GMT spring drive. It's $11,500. It's starting to get up there. On the right is a high beat GMT. Now this is 9S86 movement. Now again, remember the S means it's mechanical, so this one has that high beat, 36,000 beats per minute, I think, or per hour, 36,000 beats per hour, a beat vibration per hour, $13,700. Really a beautiful watch, but that's pretty hefty up there for something that's not made out of gold or platinum. Now this one is a mechanical high beat 36,000 GMT automatic, called the caliber 986. That's what the other one that we just looked at was, and this is called the Boutique Edition high beat. And this is coming out in 2020. Actually, it's next year's, and it's the SBGJ235. Now this one's at $2,300. Now the high beat. Seiko is really focused on having accurate watches, which is, I suppose, all you got to do is just, all right, we'll make them all quartz, and you can solve certain problems. But in a way, they did that with their spring drive, and they don't have the batteries and all of the problems they caused. But yet at the same time, you've got the accuracy of quartz with the spring drive. Well, so for mechanical, though, in order to raise it toward that level, and it's still pretty far from quartz, they have this high beat. My only problem with a high beat is a 36 GM 36,000 VPH is that it's the wear. Now, the engineering behind Seiko watches, Grand Seiko, is quite good, so that may not be the problem that I worry about a lot. Okay, this next group is we get into the Jaeger-LeCoultre. Some years ago, I got my wife this Jaeger-LeCoultre. This is a reverso with the metal bracelet. And one of the things about this is that you can feel the quality. You get a Jaeger-LeCoultre, and it has a wonderful feel of quality. And the thing is that this one has served extremely well. And it's a manual wind, and it's just a simple reversal, and you pop it open and close it again, and there's a steel back to it, which was actually what the original one was used for. All right, now here, when we're looking at the types here, one of the things that I noticed about Jaeger-LeCoultre is that so many different movements for so many different watches. And so let's take a look at these. In my opinion, there were perhaps more automatics and not enough hand winds, simply because of my own predilection. But the ones they had were awfully nice on all sides. Here too, one is called the Master, and the Master's a great entry level, and they're a lot. I think they start around 5,000 or 6,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. This one, the Master Ultra Thin Moon, is little. It's almost 9,000, but it's got its. It runs on its caliber 925-1, and these are all Jaeger-LeCoultre. Another one, this one is sort of goes way up there, and it's because of the diamond and gold more than the fact that it's rendezvous. I believe there's a rendezvous for that's just stainless steel, and it's a lot less than this. This rendezvous night and day medium tribute to cinema. So they have some special ones. This one's 22,700, which is way up there. And again, though, here you have this caliber 89 8A1. Probably has things in common with some of the other calibers, but at least you're looking at something somewhat different. All right. Now here you have some really amazing watches, and the duometric having two wings, and the geophysic. The duometry quatermain lunaire is 36,900, almost $37,000. It has a hand wound movement, which of course I think is the greatest thing in the world. And you can see it's not sort of taking something and piling something on, but rather having one that is more purpose-built for the functions in this particular watch. Geophysic, true second. What about true second? Well, true second is that what they used to call the physicians, where boom, boom, every second they would pop rather than a smooth flow. Now, the thing about this is that it has a remontoire that gauges the true second, which to me is just something wonderful. And then they have a movement called the caliber 770. Here you have this. You keep finding, if you look at the watches, if you go through all three of these, in both the Glashütte original and the Grand Seiko, you're going to find certain sort of a smaller group of movements. With Jaeger-LeCoultre, you find a much larger group. The Polaris and Reverso, the Polaris date, this is a more expensive Polaris, it's the 8250, and it has the caliber 899A1 for it. And the Reversal small, and this is small seconds, it's called Reversal small seconds large. This is a guy's watch. $6,200. I was trying to get something more toward the entry level on some of these. And this one has a caliber 822/2. I don't know if it's the same as this one. I'll have to check. But the fact of the matter is, it's a shape movement. It's not rectangular, but it has this tonneau shape to it. So it's more of a movement that uses the space that the watch is made of. Okay, now I think that in evaluating these three brands of watches, that you have that, I mean, price-wise and a lot of other ways, they're very much on the same level. They have excellent quality watches. They're certainly luxury watches, and they're not as expensive as a High Horology. By the way, I've got on my Vacheron Constantin 1972. And this particular one was made in 2000. The 1972 is about the celebration that Vacheron Constantin had of winning the Prestige de France in 1972. That's all the date has to do with it. So now, here, by coming up with something, the Luxury Trident, is open myself for all kinds of name calling and controversy. On the other hand, now, they do seem to go together. The price, the quality, and everything else of these three brands. If you put them in another context, if you compare them to a higher level, a more complex watch, or a much more expensive watch like this Moser, you're really dealing with something very different on it in terms of everything, right? But you're not getting some schlocky watch with some God knows where it's from movement in it. You're getting really good movement, and that's what I think is valuable, and why these brands are so popular. Glashütte Original, Grand Seikos, people with Grand Seikos love them. Now they're bugging, how come you're not talking more about Grand Seiko? I got to do something just on Grand Seiko coming up. Done a number on Jaeger-LeCoultre as well as Glashütte Original. But these brands, I think, represent something that I think is a very, very good luxury watch, between the Strong Horology, between watches like the Rolex and the Omega and Zenith, that sort of level of watch that are good tool watches. These are getting up into some interesting places. Now, I think all three brands have tourbillons. I didn't mention the tourbillons because they're so expensive. I mean, they're toward the $100,000, and to me, what's the point? I just if somebody the other day said, "Hey, they found a tourbillon for $350 from a Chinese outfit," and they said, "Should I get it?" Heck yeah! If that's all you want it for, is for a just so you can say, "Well, I got a tourbillon." Yeah, I mean, $100,000, you can buy a house for that. So this level, though, this sort of, minus the tourbillons and minus some of these crazy high ones, even including the two that I had, the $36,000 Duo Metre, which is I do love, or the what was the one? It was like $20-something thousand for the I believe it was a ladies Glashütte. Those can be very expensive, and they're not the ones I'm generally talking about. So anyway, now, if you don't have an opinion, I don't know who does. These are, since this comes from a very popular sort of level of luxury watch collection, I'd really like to get your feedback on this. Any suggestions, any ideas, whatever you think about that. Okay, on Sunday, I think we're having a review of a watch collection I like. There's some just cool watches in there that this collector has that I happen to like a lot, so I think you're going to like it too. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a live streaming, and I want to kick around some of these ideas then too. All right, hope to see you then, and this is always an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. This is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.